Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Brandon here. Welcome to Wednesday. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys today. If you end up watching this on the replay, don't forget to type in hashtag replay, and hopefully we will be able to bring our guest on today. Her name is Jessica Ferrell, and she'll tell you a little bit about herself. Just excited. It's been a good week. I got to talk. I just got back from a meeting with a customer, a client, I should say, and had our first session of our 6-week coaching session, and went really well. And the interesting thing was I got to kind of figure out like what's the first thing you want to talk about with a client, and that's always hard for me because you're trying to figure out what their priorities are. And I think it's always good to lay the foundation, like in terms of marketing, figure out what are the goals, how do you set proper goals for marketing for your business, how do you measure against those goals so that at the end of whatever you end up changing or implementing in your business, how do you know it worked, how do you know it succeeded. So focused a lot on that today, and it was good. I thought it went well and had a great time. But I do want to bring on our guest and see if I can get her on as well. We'll see if this lets me bring her in so you can meet another one of our community members, which is always fun.
Oh, there we go.
There it is. Hey, you.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
Thanks for joining.
You're welcome. I was hoping it would go through with all the Facebook problems today.
Oh, yeah. Lots of people.
When it started to say error loading, I was like, no.
Yeah, I have to push the button to officially invite you on. What's up, Brandy Simmons? How's it going?
Hey, Brandy.
It says you just don't see or hear anything. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe you have to be part of the group. I don't think you're part of the group.
These are some of my friends.
Okay. Yeah, you have to be accepted into the group, but I can provide the video for them later, and you can repost it on your social.
Okay.
So sorry, Brandy, if you can't watch. Yeah, it's a little tougher. It's a private group, so it keeps it exclusive to this group in case you guys don't want your thing shared with the world. But I think this might be one of the last ones that's group only. I might switch the Facebook Lives to being to going live on my page instead of within the group, so that it is accessible to a more public domain, so that people can invite their friends to watch too. At first, I wanted to keep it closed in case we were sharing information about your business that you didn't want out there in the world or whatever it is. But it tended to be a little more lighter than that for most of these calls. So that might be a change coming up, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But let's talk about you. How are you doing?
I'm good. We're back home visiting for the 4th of July. So I'm hiding out in my dad's office. That's why the light in here is
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Holiday weekend coming up. That's always kind of interesting from a business perspective, how you make that all balance out with the timing of the holiday.
Yeah.
Tell everyone what you do and what your business is.
So I am a licensed massage therapist. I have been a massage therapist for 13 years now. I'm also a licensed esthetician for 10 years. So I've been in the massage, the spa industry for those 13 years, ever since I graduated from massage school. Within this last month, I also studied and tested to become a certified personal trainer. And I have been training and shadowing with my gym that I work out at to train and teach classes there. And I just wrapped that up. And so I'll actually be put on the schedule once I get back into town and get everything situated. So, yeah. But I own my own business. I just rent a room inside of another spa. So it's kind of like my business inside of another business. So I don't have like a storefront or like foot traffic that comes through like a typical business would. So that's what I do.
Yeah. And I mean, a service-based business is always one of those. It's I think I run across that all the time. It's like the question of how do you exchange time for money, and then how do you scale something like that where your time is limited. So
Yes.
I understand the challenges there. And also you're shifting, you're adding new skills to your set. You're bringing in a different, possible client base. And that's always kind of, figuring out how to pivot through that is always interesting.
Yeah.
And something we've been talking about on outside of these calls too. How has business been going in terms of the not the training business, but the massage,
Massage,
yeah, and all that.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
Um, it's been going pretty good, actually. I made a post. It was in like a group. It does have to do with working out, but I made a post there, kind of like a vulnerable, like more human post. Like, I think it was the health coach that was on the other day. Like, there's been a couple, maybe even mentions in podcasts of yours that I've been listening to and things like that. But I just like shared my story with them regards of my health and fitness and things like that. And just doing that made me more like human and personal to these people that I've been seeing. And some of them are my clients already, but I had a couple new clients come in. I had some people that have seen me before, but they rebooked. So I thought that was a really interesting, like, kind of win for me in the last couple of weeks, because in the massage industry, in the spa industry, they tell you, oh, well, don't be friends with your clients on Facebook. Like, don't, it's very like, don't do that. Like, it's unheard of, but it's, you get, when you are providing a service to people, that you get to know these people when you're seeing them once a week or once a month, like you see them and you do become friends. Like, I don't ever post anything like, inappropriate on my personal Facebook page,
Right.
just because I barely post anything, honestly, on my personal Facebook page. But for them to just, I think, to see that more vulnerable side of me that they typically wouldn't, like if we're in session, because it's about them, it's not about me. I don't know. I think that was just really interesting to see how that affected my business. Just that little humanizing.
No, I think we hear that all the time. I think there's an older way of thinking that is still catching up in terms of like, what we do in this world where our lives are out there. And it's still awkward for people to get used to seeing you, either your personal friends, seeing you talk business stuff in something like Facebook,
Yes.
or opposite, someone who's a business like related to in business, connecting with you over social. I've had to deal with that myself. I've had to literally go from posting just pictures of my kids to going pretty much all business, which throws a few people off, and they're like, this isn't, I don't want to see half this. So there's that weird balance. But at the end of the day, when your livelihood is this service that you're providing,
Personal connections. Yes.
yeah, then you have to put it out there. It has to be something that you can talk about. Otherwise, people won't know that you do that, or just won't think of you. And I think it's all about being top of mind. If you're not in their heads when they're trying to think about that thing they might need, they're not going to remember to reach out to you and become a customer, or to like recommend you to someone else. And
exactly.
I think people are going to start to get used to it a little bit more. It just takes, you just got to expect that that's what you're going to be getting from these people. I think it's okay to mix business and pleasure and personal. It's just, if you signed up for it, if you don't want to be like putting your business out there, you don't have to. But I think it helps when you're a little bit vulnerable about what's going on in your life.
Right. I'm not like blasting all things in my life going on, but it was nice for them to like kind of see that and get a little bit more personal with me and why I'm doing what I'm doing and expanding what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So.
And how I address that too is you can set up a separate Facebook business page, which I'm sure you've hopefully done.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah. And you can ask your friends to like that business page and then post separate things on the business page than you do on the personal. So my kids' stuff still doesn't really end up on the business page.
Right.
But the business page stuff, some of it does
and sometimes
end up in personal, but I try not to do all of it, because I think all of it would be too much and be annoying. But some of the things, like if I make some content that I think is interesting, I'll share it to my personal group and they might stumble across it, and vice versa. So it's, I try to kind of figure out where those things live, that like, how would I be if I was watching, where would I be like less annoyed? Like some of it's going to be annoying, but some of it, like, how do I be less annoying if I can? So I get it, but I'm glad that it was working.
Yeah.
What I want to hear a little bit more about is where you get leads from. Like, where do you, like, we had an interesting conversation about this. I want some other people to hear a little bit about that because I don't think people would know. Like, aside from ads, where do you find referrals? Where do you find people coming into and finding out about you?
So, one of the places that I get a lot of referrals from it's called Tally Moms Group. So basically every town, every city you live in has some kind of mom group. And so the way that they do these and the way they structure them now is there's rules. And so on Sundays, we can make a service Sunday post. You have to follow the guidelines. The only bad thing is you can't post a video, which we know like
Be more
usually
effective.
engages people more
Yeah.
is if you can post a video, but you can post a picture, you can post about your service. You can't like try to talk about, you can't put the price or anything like that. But anyways, there's just certain rules. So like if somebody were to join one of those groups, you just need to make sure you read the rules, because if you don't follow the rules, they'll kick you out.
Right. Exactly.
But so I've made some posts on there. And then a lot of times people will post in the group, best massage therapist in town. Who should I go in town to see to get a facial? Where do I need to go to get a wax done? And so now, since I've been building my business, and I've been in business a year now, on my own, and since I've been working with some people, I start to get referrals in these groups. And so if somebody will post like, oh, who should I go see for a massage? Then they'll tag me, or they'll recommend my business. And so usually if they tag my name, I'll go in there and tag my business. So I mean, I've gotten several from there, and then just joining a gym and working out with other ladies, like my client base, honestly, and just getting my face out there and getting out there in the community for people to see me and meet me and know who I am. Because we moved to Tallahassee 2 years ago, and I didn't know not one single person here.
Right. And Tallahassee,
So
that's why it's called Tally Moms, because it's Tallahassee is the
yeah,
location.
yeah.
Where I'm at, it's like,
Tally is the short.
yeah, they call my town like the South Bay. So we have like a South Bay Moms group.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked about this a lot in like when you're trying to figure out how to get discovered, because you can build a website, you can build a Facebook profile, but if no one finds you, then it's pointless, right? But when you can find ways for people to discover those things that you've built and
Mm-hmm.
discover you and send them to those things you built, suddenly you have
Yeah.
something. And a good place to do that is to leverage where those people already are, leverage other people's audiences. And one of those is Facebook groups that makes sense for the kind of communities you want to
Mm-hmm.
tap into. So I do the same thing. There are a couple groups that are entrepreneur forward, that have people that look to work with other entrepreneurs and do that kind of thing. And I am active in those groups because that is a place where I can leverage an audience that's already there, get my message across, and get to know people, just like we used to do. Networking. You'd
Mm-hmm.
show up and do physical networking at a meetup somewhere, which you could still do that.
Yeah.
But the point is, you have to
I
leverage
did
an
go to one of
audience.
those. Yeah. I went to like a women's networking thing, and I mean, it was good. I got a lot of business cards, but did I get any clients from it? No.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and some of these things you got to think about, like what the purposes of like the people that are there. A lot of things that I've gone to thinking I'll find clients, I actually found more people selling me stuff than actual
yeah.
clients, because everyone goes for the same reason, and the people that you want
Yeah.
to be there aren't actually there. Like I went to a small business conference in Los Angeles, and I showed up and it was all service providers to small businesses, but no actual small business owners. you know
Yeah.
it's like the accountants were there and the banks were there, and like all these different things, but not actual small business owners themselves. And that's the tough part, is you got to figure out where these people actually are hanging out, and
Yeah.
leverage that, and get involved and give value. I think that's the other part, is you mentioned you can get kicked out if you do it wrong. And also, if they don't see you in some way contributing to the group and providing value,
Yeah.
people aren't like going to be drawn to you and feel like you're a part of the community, really.
I do try, if I see something, a question posted or something like that, I try to make sure that I'm staying active and I communicate in those groups. Like I'll recommend something else, or um, if it's not something that I wouldn't have to like really get into like a very long debate about, why you shouldn't use coconut oil on your face, like those type, like I stay away from those posts just because I'm like, I'm not going to get drawn into all that. But if a mom is asking for advice because her husband doesn't want to help with the dishes, like, I'm I'm
Right.
there for that.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of got to jump in where you think it makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And I love that the gym makes sense too for you, like that you found a place that you're going to go to anyway, and you find that there's a way to network and meet people at that place. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what everyone's got to do at first. And then after you meet them and you find ways to get discovered, then it's like, how do you bring them into your world? How do you collect their
Mm-hmm.
information and pull them from where they are to where you are?
Yes.
Because this happened to a buddy of mine. I'm in a mastermind, and one of the guys, he regularly gets a lot of leads from one Facebook group. And
Uh-huh.
they just kicked him out.
Oh
And he's in our
no.
group. He's in this community, so I won't say his name. But it was, I'm sure, devastating in that, like, somewhere you're getting a lot of leads. Now he's got to find a new place to do that. And two things, like, one, you've got to be real sensitive about, like, how are you adding so much value to the group that they will never want to kick you out? But
Right.
two, like, how do you figure out, like, how to bring those people into your world so that if that happens, you're not dead in the water,
Mm-hmm.
something to think about. And it's like, sometimes it's how do you, in those groups, how do you somehow collect their emails by giving some kind of offer, or something of value that makes them give you their email or something of that nature where you can
Mm-hmm.
contact them, and invite them to something else.
Yeah.
I have a Facebook group, but it could be a Facebook group. It could be a phone number. It could be an email. It could be, a meetup. It could be literally anything, but you got to somehow pull them from where
Yeah.
they are to where you are. Luckily, they won't kick you out of the gym probably for networking. So that'll always be there
No,
for you.
probably not.
So yeah, glad we got to talk about that, because that's, I think, probably pretty relevant to a lot of people that are on this call too. Because a lot of us are using Facebook as a
Yeah.
tool.
Because you go into these groups and you're like, all right, recommend, the best so-and-so or the best place to eat. And so,
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're local, I think a lot of those local groups are really helpful, because
mm-hmm.
you'll probably end up possibly meeting these people in real life too, which is
Yeah.
good, especially if you're local
Yeah.
service, just local groups for local service businesses that
Mm-hmm.
are geographically restricted. Totally perfect.
Yeah.
I don't need to go into those as much because I can kind of work virtually
You can
anywhere.
do large scale. Yeah.
So I try to get more niche into my field, like think people that might need what
Mm-hmm.
I need. But I could go local too if I needed to. Well, I want to ask you here a little bit about, like roses and thorns, kind of things that have gone well for you, like things that are kind of working for you the past couple weeks, like a win.
Mm-hmm.
And then anything that you're kind of trying to figure out right now, any challenge, any obstacle, anything that you're trying to figure out with, the group can maybe brainstorm around, or just we can, provide a little bit of ideas around how we've kind of encountered those same things.
Yeah. Definitely the win was that post that kind of just like opened my eyes to some things, and me realizing, like, even though I am in a service business and I'm here to serve them, like I also need to have a little give and take and let them see a little bit more of me versus just what I'm offering them.
Right.
In terms of like hands-on, and things like that.
While you think before you jump into the next one, what's
Yeah.
interesting about that just came to me is that could be a differentiator too. Like in businesses where there's usually no human elements, like we pull that out of it to be
Mm-hmm.
so professional. When you start to be the person that's slightly more human and no one else is doing it, you stand out,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Yes, I agree. And it's like I said, it's such a shift to see that from after years and years of don't do this, don't do that.
Right.
So it's definitely got me thinking. Probably, and I think we talked about this the last time, like my biggest struggle is not, and it's not daydreaming per se, but like thinking so large scale right now, like, oh, I could do this and I could do that. And like you said, just really focusing on what I have in front of me right now. Like most of my business right now is massage. I want to make it a more even ratio between massage and facials. And then once I can, throw in a little bit of like the corrective exercise like we were talking about. So I'm still struggling with that, but it's just, I try to, like, anytime I start to get off track, I'm like, okay, just no. You need to really focus on what's going on right now. And so even just doing this, the personal trainer course and things like that, there were things that I learned while studying for that I'm able to use and apply in my massage without even having to exercise, like train somebody one-on-one. So like I'll have somebody come in and they're like, oh, my hip is bothering me. I'll go through assessments that I would do if I was about to train them and see, okay, well, this muscle is short. That's why your hip is hurting. And so then I'll use those assessments and then use them and massage the muscles that would technically be short or tight that's restricting that movement. So I'm using what I just learned and applying it in what I'm doing currently versus just thinking, okay, I need to finish this corrective exercise course now so I can work one-on-one with these clients. I've got a way I can help them right now.
Right.
And so that's been my struggle, is just not getting caught up in everything that I will be able to do and really focusing on what I can do. And the same thing with my list. I finally finished getting all my emails put in, and I got just like the anniversary promo coupon code. I sent it out. I made sure it didn't look like super sales pitchy or anything like that. And then that way I can just kind of see, like, okay, I just sent out, my list is very small. I think after I put everything in, I only had 97. But that way I can just see, like, okay, of these 97 emails I just sent out, how many people actually opened them, So that'll be exciting to see over the next few days as like those numbers start coming in.
Yeah, well, I love that. That was one of my biggest takeaways from when I went to this conference called Thrive recently was, out of all the things I could have taken away and all the amazing speeches, one of the simplest things that was really valuable to me personally was I do the same thing. I kept thinking like about the next, and focusing on what's in front of me and what I need to do right now in my business to give me runway to take care of the things that are next is huge.
Right.
And staying focused on that is hard. It is hard to figure out, like, what do I need to do to like continue to sell the thing that is right in front of me, as opposed to be aspirational about the thing that I want to do. It's tough to focus on that, but it is the kind of thing that it's motivating as a well, this is what helps me do the thing, is the runway that I need to keep going towards that other thing is the thing in front of me. But yeah, it is kind of just continuing to remind yourself to do that. And also maybe, there's, if the group has some ideas on how to stay focused like that, for sure, write them into the comments. But I think part of it is you like figuring out those tasks that you need to do for your current thing that's right in front of you and assigning yourself time to do them. If you need to make some sales calls each week, like picking a time to do that. If you need to get your, some operations straight, like getting your emails organized, like giving yourself, like assigning a calendar time to do that helps you not get distracted by the other things that are kind of more fun to do or whatever it might be,
Yep.
Definitely been there myself for sure. So I appreciate you sharing that, because I think we all might have that, especially if you're doing multiple things or you're like trying to grow and pivot and all that, which I think we're all kind of do that every couple of years. We've got some things we want to change or do different.
Well, it's definitely been a juggle just with this last month, because I get up, I work out in the morning, but then I go back in the afternoon and I'm there for 3 or 4 hours at the gym because you have to shadow so many classes before you're allowed to teach on your own. So now that's done. And then I can just be on the schedule maybe 1 or 2 days a week. And then I can be like, okay, these days I've got that going on, but these days I can commit to this, that, and the other. Another thing that I've been working on this week is thinking about like that nurture system, how you were saying, like when I do get somebody's email and things like that. So I did have a question though. Like, when I first get their email, the way it would work for me in a service-based business would be different than I think somebody that's sending out like content or like you said, like courses and things like that. So I was trying to think, like when I first come in contact with somebody is when they're booking an appointment, right? So I was thinking maybe like, because I've just been getting their name and phone number to put them in my system so they get a reminder. So maybe instead of doing that, well, I have to do that, but also get their email and be like, okay, I just need your email and I'm going to send you a welcome email. Like that could be the first one with a little, like you said, like an introduction about me. And this would be for new clients, right? People that haven't been on my table before. Um, and then maybe like some things to know about their appointment, whatever appointment they booked, like base it off of whatever service they're coming in to get. And then like the next one could be a follow-up after their appointment. Like, how did your appointment go? How are you feeling? Do you have any feedback? So I'm trying to think like of ways to apply that to my style business.
Yeah, I think we've all got to get a little bit creative about
Mm-hmm.
what we send to people after we get their information. So when you're collecting, you get the name and the phone number right away, or you have to reach out to get
Yes.
the email.
Like if they message me or call me or anything like that, I'll be like, okay, I just need your name and a good mobile number because my system will automatically send them like a reminder
Right.
and let them know they were booked at this date and time, and it'll send them like a reminder 48 hours before their
Yeah.
appointment.
I think when you're collecting the email, you say, you know, give me your email and we will confirm the appointment. Like not give me the
Mm-hmm.
email and I'll send you a newsletter, or I'll sign you
Okay.
up for my list. I
Yeah.
think it's send me your email so I can confirm your appointment. Uh, Once you've confirmed the appointment, then they're receiving email from you. And you should always have an unsubscribe on there, whatever it is. Uh, but yeah, I think the follow-up can be something related to just a normal, like you've worked with someone, get a little bit of feedback, because that's helpful either way. Getting feedback from a customer is
Mm-hmm.
always helpful. And you can write it in a very human way, not a survey type way. But you just got to think about what kind of answers you want that would be helpful for you.
Okay.
Whether it helps you figure out the types of massages they like, or the types of like how often they do this kind of thing, or whatever the thing is. Anything that helps you figure out how to serve them better, or serve them again, is helpful. Um, just, or things that you might figure out you can help them with later. So, in my business, I'd be like, what are you struggling with? But
Mm-hmm.
that might not be your business question, but there might be something that you can ask that would do a similar type job. The point is to give you either ask questions that give you good answers that become testimonials. Like if I'm talking to someone, I say, hey, what did we do today? Oh, we did this, this, and this. Did you
Mm-hmm.
find that valuable? Yes. Why? And then they explain why it was valuable to learn that thing that they learned. And it was like, what was the number one thing that really you think you can implement tomorrow? This, this, this. As I'm asking
Okay.
those questions, I get really A, useful feedback, but B, great testimonial information, because I've asked questions that lead to them natural answers, but to me, things that would resonate with someone who's watching as a testimonial. So you can ask them in a way that like leads them to being
Instead of
useful.
just, do you have any feedback?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or
Okay.
1 to 5, rate this, that, and the other. Because people
Yeah.
use those as quality control. Like, do I need to like make sure people aren't making mistakes or whatever? Like in a
Mm-hmm.
corporate setting. But as an individual service business, you've got to use those questions as ways to, either A, get more insight into how you could serve them again, or B, actually get information you can use as a real testimonial someday. And once they've written it, later you could say, hey, so happy you were over the moon about the service. Love what you wrote about it. Would you mind if I post it on my website? Like
Yeah.
that's later, after they've already written it. Asking someone to write
Mm-hmm.
a testimonial to put on your website is dead in the water. But if you,
Okay.
or if they've already written it, just saying, can I use it later,
Yeah.
is easy, because they've already
Okay.
said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do. It's going to take a little bit of work you might have to try a couple different things to write a few things out, but just start writing
Yeah.
them individually to people. Like, hey, great seeing you today. Da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. Hopefully, you can treat yourself within the next month. If you do,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to give you 10% off. And that might be the very, very natural thing to do if you're writing
Yeah.
individually, and you may not think of that if you were thinking of it in bulk. But when you write individually,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, that's obviously what I would write. So do it like that,
Right. Yeah.
and then keep going down that road. And after you haven't heard from him in a month, hey, it's been a month since we saw you last. Do you have any interest in this month in da 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 da? Would love to
Yeah.
see you again. And by the way, uh, we are doing free hot rock add-ons this week. Like whatever
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
uh, that doesn't sound too salesy, but just as like, hey, checking in. You know,
Yeah.
um,
I did. I actually had a note for that too. I was like, well, maybe like 2, 3, 4 weeks later, like that could be the third thing. It's like, hey, it's about time, or we haven't seen you. And so that's along the lines I was
yeah.
thinking. So
Well,
that's good.
here's a great story from a restaurant guy that I heard being interviewed on the Gary Vee show. He's basically said for first-time customers that walk into his restaurant, he puts I think it was like a red napkin on their table. He asks them if they're new. They say yes. He's like, great, thanks for coming. Our signature dish is this. Oh, I'd
Mm-hmm.
love to try that. Great. Da, 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 da. And everyone knows because of the red napkin that they're a first-time guest and they get like the signature treatment or whatever.
I think I saw that same. I think I
Right.
saw what you're talking about.
But what I
Yeah.
love is that then, towards the end of it, he's like, hey, you know what? You've got to come back next time and try our chicken. Like, here's 50% off
Yeah.
the chicken. And they come in
Mm-hmm.
a second time. They present the coupon for half off the chicken. And then and they have like a white napkin this time. And then towards the end of that meal, he gives them another thing. And maybe it's I don't know, a different type of thing. It's not a ticket this time. It's something else, like a quarter or a
Mm-hmm.
token or, hey, so happy you came back. It looks like you're trying a chicken. Like, I'd love to hear what you think. By the way, you've got to try our desserts. Come back next time, free dessert on me. Just happy you're
Mm-hmm.
back. And by the third time someone comes in, they're a regular customer, and that's what it takes for someone to become a loyal visitor. And I'm like, even for your business, it could start with like, how do you introduce them to a new service? Like, hey, you did this.
Yeah.
Like, would love you to try this. It's like people love it that love this. They love this, like, and some reason
Right.
that they connect. If you love this and you've never gotten a facial, you should totally get a facial. If you love this and you've never tried it with stones or with like, you have to try it. Here's a reason to come in today to it. And then the third time is, like, hey, whatever, like, and I'll add on this. Like, think of what those add-ons are for you, so that they're kind of brought into it. And then by the time they're like, it's been the fourth month, you can just change it up. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're used to hearing from you. And bring a friend or whatever the thing is,
Yeah.
I think it's just starting to think like that. Like, how do you continue to
Yeah.
give them reasons to come back? Because over time, they will become a regular. Once they're a regular, you don't have to like lose money on giving them the extras anymore. But getting them in the first time is the hardest, and getting them to come back the first time is the hardest. So, and then you can continue to raise your rates, whatever that thing is. So, but yeah, she's taking notes over here.
Yeah.
This is one of our.
I have to because I will forget to write it down.
we check in regularly, so we're used to working in this way. But for those of you watching, I hope that was valuable to you guys too.
Sorry.
No, I hope you learned a little bit more about Jessica along the
Yeah.
way as well. Anything out there that you want to leave them with? We'll have people follow up with checking if they have any ideas on how to continue to focus on what's in front of them. We'll ask the group to kind of chime in on that. Hopefully Facebook is working and this thing actually posts. But
I know.
aside from that, anything you want to leave the group with?
I think just, what's really helped me in the last couple months, just even how I found you just by chance I was like, I'm not happy where my business is right now. What do I need to do to change it? Oh, well, I'm walking for 30, 45 minutes a day in dead air. I could be listening to a marketing podcast or a business podcast, or, I could be listening to stuff while I'm out here. So just me trying to get that self-development has just helped me tremendously in the last few months. So like my advice would be, if you feel stuck in your business or you feel stuck in what you're doing, find something to help you grow.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And I did the same thing. I started listening to I want to do better networking. So I listened to a networking podcast, which starting that first step changed my life entirely. I'm listening to like Russell Brunson's ClickFunnels podcast now. And at first I was like, oh, ClickFunnels is terrible. But
Yeah.
just the way he thinks about the process of storytelling and adding value to make your service more valuable, just interesting. And I'm learning too. And it's, investing in yourself and taking in different pieces of things from different places and meeting more people and just getting out of your own head is huge. And if nothing else, you have a community to support you, which I love, because then you don't feel so alone in this business.
Yeah.
So.
And it can get lonely, especially in the spa industry, because people kind of get like territorial and they think, oh, well, I don't want them to know my trade secrets or, things like that. And I just.
Yeah. No, exactly. I get it.
I like the community where we're like all giving to each other and trying to help each other. So.
Yeah. Well, I hope this has been valuable for you too. And we'll continue to build it. And thanks for coming on today and sharing your story.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll catch you soon. I'm sure we'll talk again next week.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Talk to you soon.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. And for the rest of you that still got to the end here, make sure to type in #replay if you watch this on the replay. Continue to jump in and get involved in the posts in the communities, watch the videos. And if you haven't listened to Monday's episode of the Brands on Brands podcast, check it out. We talk about customer experience. If you have one of those businesses that has customers coming in the doors or has a website, it's valuable for you. And if you have questions you want me to answer on Freestyle Fridays, ask them and I'll answer them right there and share that with the group and whoever's listening. So thank you guys for your time. Have a great week. Have a happy 4th of July and catch you next time.